It's Women's History Month, y'all. It's Women's History Month. What's up, world? What's up? What's up? It's Women's History Month. Did you know black and brown people around the world are reconnecting to their roots and redefining their relationships to the land by gardening and farming? And Black Gardener Talk is dedicated to sharing those voices that inspire all people of color and maybe even some that don't look like us to grow by any means necessary. But sometimes we just need our own safe space to talk. Good morning, I'm Kamani and Cool, and this is Black Gardener Talk. And my guest today is Plant Lady. Let me see where Plant Lady is. It's very early in the morning where she's at. But if you in DC, it's a great day to go gardening, right? Or start gardening. Let me see where Plant Lady is. How's everyone doing? Yeah, it's a great day. Grand Rising, yes, King, Queen. I just invited Plant Lady. Hopefully she join us soon. But while we wait for Plant Lady, what y'all growing this year? I'm growing these peppers right here. These are hot peppers, hot salsa blend. Right there. Waiting for Plant Lady. Sweet peppers. These are good to snack on. And these honeycomb hybrid tomatoes. Yes, the weather is real nice, Tasha. Still waiting for Plant Lady. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning where she is. Invite her one more time. Plant Lady, it says you're unable to join. Can you send me a request? Plant Lady, send me a request. I'm growing everything. That's what's up. Geo Gardener is growing sunflower, bush beans, spearmint, basil, tomatoes. We are growing. We want to grow. We would love to have you. Yes, I'll be happy to come on your Instagram live. Send me a DM and let me know when you want to. Plant Lady, send me a request. It's not allowing me to let you join, so send me a request. This happens, y'all. Plant Lady, send a request to Gardening and Beats. So we get this thing popping. Yo, so today Black Gardener Talk is powered by Power and Black. Down there in the thing in the pin comment, you go there to the website right there. You can use my code Kimani, all capital letters, and get 15% off. That's what's up. I'm still waiting for Plant Lady. Okay. Plant Lady, where are you? Okay. What's up?
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Hey, finally. It's all good. Ladies is and gentlemen, it's Black Gardener Talk, and we got the Plant Lady on today. Celebrate Women's History Month. Thank you for joining me this morning. I know it's early, and
Yeah.
I'm a night owl too, so you know it's kind of hard to get up. But you're in the room. I'm excited. Let's just jump right into it. What's your first memories
Um,
of gardening? What was your first
when
memories of
I
gardening?
was when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I my grandma was down in Stockton, California, and she married a preacher man, and he had a garden in the backyard, and he had me go back there and do all the weeding and stuff like that, and he had like carrots and cucumbers, a walnut tree, grapefruit trees and stuff like that. And so I just remember, going back there to help them, garden and, whatever they needed, they would go in the backyard, pull it up, bring it in the house, cook it. That was my memory of that.
That's what's up. From those memories, how did you start your own garden, and why did you start your
I
own garden?
started it a couple years or 3 years ago. Oh, it's 2022. I started it. Oh no, then
Yeah.
it's been 2 years. Um, uh, I've been wanting to start it for a while. It was due to COVID boredom, honestly, that got me started. I'm not going to front. We had experienced the shutdowns, right? And I was just like, I'll just go plant something.
Yeah.
And that's how I got started. I started on tomatoes and jalapenos and stuff. That's how I got started 2 years ago.
That's what's up.
Mhm.
I love it. Y'all share this out. Plant lady got a wealth of knowledge. She seemed a little nervous today for some reason. I'm not so sure what's going
It's
on, but maybe it's too
early.
early in the morning because on the she's on the West Coast, y'all. And it's great to have you waking up so early to be on. Um, what was your first mistake while learning gardening? Since it's
The
only
first
been two
mistake was
years.
not knowing when to grow what. Really, I was just planting whatever, whatever. And, I'm planting, well, what was something I planted? I planted broccoli in the middle of summertime. And then not being
Oh
aware
no.
of these things called garden pests. And so I'm sitting over here. Oh, and then not knowing well, see, this is in the beginning. I didn't read nothing about it. I just put seeds in dirt and just prayed or whatever. And so they all sprouted out. So I planted about 50 broccolis in one little small 16-inch pot, and they all sprouted, and I didn't know any better. And so
Oh no.
so I said, "Oh, this is great, right?" I had no idea what I was doing, and so I put it in this little 16-inch little pot, right? And yeah, and I was just like, "Oh, okay." I didn't think to separate them, right? And then on top of it, I put it outside. Yeah, I put it
Oh no.
outside. Didn't know any. I didn't think anything of it until I started seeing holes in the broccoli, and I just thought nothing of it until I see these little green little worm thingies crawling all over my broccoli. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
no.
that's how I got introduced to cabbage loopers or cabbage worms, whatever you call it. But yeah, just not understanding the
Okay.
seasons or the timing of when to plant stuff. Um, and then knowing how to, like, I just didn't read up. I just didn't, so that was my biggest mistake.
Yeah. And I think that's how we all get into it. Well, most of us get into it. I mean, I kind of like did the same thing. I mean, I was like, well, I didn't really do the same thing. I kind of like did, like, I got these strawberries. Strawberries are like my favorite. And I wanted to plant these strawberries, and I just put them in the ground, not knowing that they would take
Right.
over the entire ground area everywhere. So I had like strawberries everywhere, and I couldn't grow anything else because they kind of choked everything out because they were all over the place. But I didn't read a book. I didn't look on it. Well, I
Right.
didn't have internet at that point. Some people did, but we
Right. I
didn't have
dared
internet.
to put
And
strawberries with
so
Thai
I
basil.
finally,
And I was like, I didn't realize that it kept going. I was like, oh, snap, a new one. Okay, put that in
yes,
the ground. Yeah, next time I'm giving it its own pot because
yes. Well, I dug up the strawberries now, and they
right.
in barrels now. But I had to go to the library. Use your library, y'all. To learn how to do most of my garden because I didn't have the internet at the time. So I went to the library and sat there for an hour. Then I get and jump to another computer and keep on learning and writing notes down till I got it right. I think I got it right now. Um, but from your first mistakes or your mistakes to your first garden success, what was that first garden success that made you like say, "Wow, I did
When
that"?
I harvested my first tomato, red tomato, because the first year they were all just green and stuff like that. Now, had I known the at the time that all you have to do is just take those green tomatoes and put it next to a windowsill and stuff like that, and they would turn red, I wouldn't have just been like, yeah, to hell with it. Yeah. But yeah, when I experienced the first tomato turning red on the vine, man, that feeling I got, it wasn't a very big tomato, but I didn't care.
And the taste of it. Talk about the taste of it growing your own
It is,
tomatoes to
you
the
know
folks out
what?
there.
It just makes you wonder what we're eating at the grocery, coming from the grocery store, don't it? Like, especially when I harvested my first broccoli
Yes.
and it was actually very sweet tasting. And I was like, what am I eating? But I was like, especially like the cilantro. The cilantro was my very first success actually. Because those are pretty easy. And brought them inside, washed it up,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. And both me and my daughter was sitting over here just like, this is kind of weird tasting in a good way. And it just makes you wonder, what are you buying from the store? It's very sweet tasting. But that's because we all know that, the moment you cut it off the vine, it loses its nutrients and taste and stuff like that. Then, think about how we get it from the store. It's got to come from the field, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then they got to, you know, store it until the driver or whoever comes and transports it. Then it goes to the store, and who knows how long it sits in the back, before you finally get it. So by
Yes.
the time we buy it, put it in our fridge, cook it, whatever, it done lost about 2 weeks worth of sweetness. So that's why strawberries tend to spoil like 2 days after we buy it. Yeah,
2 days and moldy and all that stuff. Like,
man,
what is
you got to
going
eat it
on
all
with
the
that?
first day. Like,
Yeah, you gotta eat
it's
the
like,
first day.
yeah,
Someone said, Zero Journey said, do you add anything to your tomatoes? Some kind of fertilizer or other stuff, I'm assuming.
oh,
Oh, she froze, y'all. Oh no. For
no,
me, oh yeah,
no,
you froze a little bit. Can
yeah,
you go back
because
over?
tomatoes are very heavy eaters, man. Um, so yeah, I do tend to like when I transplant them because I actually have my cherry tomatoes over here. I have not given them fertilizer yet because they're too small. They're just babies and stuff like that. So just compost soil is good for them for when you're just sprouting them from seedling. When I transplant them, though, I give them rock phosphate, and also I like the uh geez, I just went a blank. Like I said, it's early in the morning. Um it's that
It's early in the morning.
it's like I have the picture in my head, but um I like to give them that I'm trying to remember the brand name specifically. Neptune's Harvest. And I like to use the little the crab one. So that way they could get all the nutrients they need. But you know what? Compost soil, that does, I have a worm bin. So that's how I get all the nutrients in the soil and I just give it to them. But just to give it a little bit more, I give them rock phosphate and a little bit of crab. Yeah, so that way it'll get everything it needs from when it's transplanted. And I every single month I do a liquid fertilizer because they really do eat that much. And if you find them a little bit weak or whatever it is, give them a little calcium, whether it's eggshells or um, some people use Tums. I'm like, okay. But yeah, I do give it fertilizer. Yeah,
Tums,
some
you
people
like
talk about
Tums
giving it
like
Tums because it has
the
calcium in
things?
it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
I
what's
know,
up.
right? I was
I
like,
never heard that
that's
one.
interesting. I haven't had to,
That's
but
cool. Yeah. I would say for me, I use a lot of compost. I have a
Mhm.
couple compost bins, so I use a lot of compost. I'm actually gonna lay down some compost today before I go to my
Yeah,
little part-time job later on today. But yeah,
yeah, I prefer
composting is
compost
great.
store. Yeah.
Geo Gardner said compost is the best. Folks, if you do have questions, put it in a little question box. I think it's the 1, 2 from the right over. Put it in there so we won't clog up the comment section. I would love to hear all the comments, but I want the questions in the question box. And you can ask Plant Lady anything. Um, she's a wealth of knowledge. I met Plant Lady not too long ago on another app called Fan Base. If you're not on Fan Base, you're not on Fan Base. So you need to get on Fanbase where you can monetize your content straight from the day that you
Mhm.
sign up. You know, you don't have to build up to 10,000 followers or 5,000 followers on some of these social media apps, and then you able to monetize. But sometimes you can't monetize. But Fanbase lets you monetize right off the break. There's Photogenic in the room. She's
Hi,
also on
photogenic.
Fanbase. I met her through Fanbase, and that's where I met Plant Lady. So we all in a group called Growers of Fan Base, and we're there every Tuesday night. I think it's 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard
9:48.
Time. 9:48. So go Fan Base, go download that app so you can monetize your content if you're a content creator. All right. If not, hey, it's all good. Um, from that, what advice would you give a new gardener? So you've been a new gardener for about 2 years now, but now
Yeah.
I would consider you a novice gardener. But what advice would you give a new gardener that's going to start out
Um,
this year?
honestly, this is really my advice to them. Um, you're gonna deal with bugs, okay? Like that, I gotta be totally honest. That kind of drives me up the wall when people are just like, "Oh my God, how do you get rid of all the bugs?" I'm like, no, 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 no. Bugs are a part of gardening, and they're actually mostly a good thing. You're gonna deal with bugs. It's inevitable. And oh, how do you get rid of mosquitoes? I'm like, mosquitoes, they attract the hummingbirds, they attract the dragonflies, they attract it. Even if the bugs are bad, they're good. You know, just figure out natural ways to you know, minimize the amount of damage that comes to your crops. But understand something, you attract the beneficial insects when you have some of the bad insects. I know what I'm saying makes no sense, but just understand that, yes, I was going to go there. Companion planting. Basil is my favorite companion planting of all time because the aroma of it or the aura of it or something like that confuses other beneficial insects. So that way it doesn't. So I always, like, for an example, my brassicas, I always plant some sort of sage or, basil somewhere near there because the aroma of it. So that's actually good, you know, uh, golden nugget number two. I always like to plant basil, my Thai basil, somewhere near my brassicas. So that way, if the pests like the cabbage worms and stuff like that, they can't smell my kale. They can't sense my brassicas. And in case you don't know what brassica is, it's something like broccoli or kale. That's considered a brassica. So that way, my cabbage worms don't sense those things. So that way, they're not laying a gazillion eggs. So yeah, that's pretty much you're gonna have to deal with bugs, y'all. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to deal with
Ew,
bugs. I think
wasp. I'm like,
a young
wasp,
lady
that,
was
that
doing a
thing
couple.
actually pollinates. So, wasps don't bother me at all. Neither.
Yeah, watch don't bother me either.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I'm used to it now. It's a funny story, real quick. So I was starting this community garden with some folks. They were very green. They had no idea what to do. So I went out there. They hired me to do it with the NAACP, and then finally that summer weather hit and all those bugs, those Japanese beetles, and they was like all over the place. And they was like, "We're not eating none of this stuff because the bugs are on it." I was like, "Welcome to organic gardening. Welcome to gardening. You just pluck them off." At that point, I was like, "You just pluck them off and then shake them off and then take them home, wash them real good, and
Hmm.
just eat them up." You know what I'm saying? Eat those vegetables up. And I had to learn that too. I was like, "Oh my
Right.
God, I'm not eating that too." So when they started talking about that, I was like,
Yeah.
welcome to the
It's
real
like, you really
world
think the
of
stuff that you
gardening."
buy at the store
And
wasn't touched by a bug or two? Come on, get real.
yeah, so you learn as you go. So I really appreciate that advice for the new gardener is, get ready for the bugs. And a young lady a couple weeks ago, Eve,
Hmm.
Erica Plant
They
said,
don't.
if the bugs
They
don't
don't.
eat
They
it,
don't
then I
bother
don't
me.
want it.
Yeah. They just. Yeah. They don't. They don't
Yeah.
really bother me anymore. I mean, yeah, I still get startled every once in a while if you see, But yeah, it's mostly honeybees. I think I saw a comment saying, "Hey, as long as they don't sting me." Believe it or not, um, uh, even if a wasp is sitting right next to me, they won't sting me because we work together. There's this energy thing that I can go really, really deep about that. They know I'm working with the garden and they help me work with the garden as well. The wasps don't want to sting you, believe it or not. Maybe the carpenter, whatever you call them, wasp or whatever it is. Yeah, because, but in terms of like the actual wasp, that they just want the nectar. So there's a connection. There's a teamwork happening here. So yeah, if the bugs don't want it, I don't
Yes,
either.
I like.
Exactly. Bugs. If the bugs are coming after your stuff, that means it's good. That I know it sounds weird. This whole thing really could just go deep.
And that's the urban gardener. Her, she's gonna be on later on this month. That is Alexis Bumpers. She's gonna be on Black Gardener Talk for Women's History Month. I'm excited about having all women this month, just sharing their knowledge and everything about
Mhm.
what they do in the garden. Um, Yeah, pass this out, share this out to people. Make sure y'all liking it. Make sure y'all sharing it. Make sure y'all commenting when we post the replay, because the replay is gonna be up right after this, and it's gonna be on YouTube. So pass it out, okay? Um, where do you spend most of your time in the
Where in the
garden?
garden?
Yeah, like is there a specific place in your garden that you like to go to on a daily basis and just maybe sit,
Mm.
think, meditate, um,
It,
talk to
well,
God?
I'm pointing it out like y'all really can see. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
we can
it's
see.
in my
We can see.
it's in my backyard. I actually do have pictures on my Instagram. I mean, it may be a while back, but I live on about half an acre. I want more actually. But yeah, my backyard, it has table, chairs. I got a nice little bird fountain and stuff like that. Actually anywhere, but because I have a water feature in my front yard, but my backyard really is my pride and joy. I love my backyard.
That's what's up.
Mhm.
That's your
Mhm.
sanctuary, your oasis. That's what do you enjoy most about gardening?
It's therapeutic, honestly. Especially when you have anxiety and stuff like that. It's just very therapeutic. It's I've noticed that whenever I'm like feeling very anxious, I go plant something. Well, they say that there's
That's what's
a
up.
something about putting your hands and your feet in dirt that is very healing or something. And so I believe it. Every time I put my hands in the dirt and stuff, especially if it's natural dirt, then it's something very therapeutic about it that, gets me sane.
And then they said they have those micro um things in the ground, so when you do touch the dirt, it just
Mm-hmm.
gives you a good feeling if you're out there. Folks, if you growing food, don't go out there with your little cute little gloves on. Just put your hands in the soil. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. The ladies like, I gotta have my little gloves on. No, take those gloves off and dig in those that
Yeah.
that that
Well,
soil, that
I'll
dirt.
put the gloves on
Pick
when
up
I'm
those
working in the
worms.
worm bin, though. Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, that yeah. The worms
No, I'll
bite.
pick
Yep,
them up
yep,
with my
yep.
bare hand, believe it or not.
That
Like
feeling.
if I find worms, 'cause especially when it rains, they tend to hide underneath the pots. And so I'll pick those up with my bare hands, no problem. But in terms of digging in the compost soil, I'm gonna put my gloves on for that one.
No,
Or the worm bin,
no, I
I'm
don't want to do that
yeah,
either. Well, my compost bin, I put so much
exactly.
food scraps
I'm
in
not
there. I don't want to touch that with my hands right now. Once it's all
mhm,
broken down, maybe, but
mhm.
not right off the break. Yeah. Geo Gardner he puts what I was trying to say in the chat, y'all. And it gives off some good energy. So he works for
Oh.
the USDA, and so this brother
Mhm,
knows about the soil. Um, and then Alexis is
mhm.
laughing. She's dying, probably about saying don't put those gloves on.
No, honestly, I think I used to try and put gloves on to garden. It doesn't hit right with me. I'm just eventually I take them off and I'm just like, man,
Yeah.
I got to touchy feel of this, because it just doesn't feel right.
and I think it's also a money is a money thing too. I mean, for people, I think they advertise like these nice little gloves. I work for a big box store, and so they have all the pink
Mhm.
gloves now for the women with little things you can cut. The things. I think it's just a money making business. But try your hands out there and
Mhm.
put your hands in some soil. Um, Let me know if you put your bare hands in the soil in the chat too. Where do you buy
I
your
like
seeds
burpee.
from?
Honestly, those are my main thing. And then burpee is my thing, but I also have a nursery, believe it or not. Yeah, just happen to have some right here.
Therapy.
I have a whole pack right here. I'm a seed hoarder. I think I need to start I think I need to start an AA meeting for seeds because I be hoarding. Yeah, I need to start a show on seed hoarding. But anyway, and then I also
That's
have a nursery. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but literally just like a few blocks down, I have a nursery that's open all year round. They even sell Christmas trees. I was like, oh my goodness! So I go over there, and they're expert gardeners too. So anytime I had a question as well, I would go over there and even maybe ask them a question in terms of like perennials and how to take care of them during the winter, stuff like that. So I go over there for any type of, all my gardening needs as well. And then I end up walking out of there with like 10,000 plants.
That's me. I have a nursery like 5 minutes away from my house. It's tucked back up in the woods, and it was funny for years. I never
Mhm.
knew what it was until like the pandemic hit, and I was like, "There's a freaking nursery by my house," you know. And so now I'm like, I tell my neighbors we done got we went in last year and we got a big old dump truck to come and dump soil because I had bought some new garden boxes. I had like 8 or 9 garden boxes and I wasn't buying bags of soil. So me and my neighbor, I taught my neighbors how to garden, and then we got a big old dump truck full of soil, which was cool. They dumped it on the street. We had to dig
Mhm.
it up with our wheelbarrows, which was cool. So yeah, take part in your nurseries. Support local folks. These are real local. This family been there
Mhm.
forever. I just didn't know about it. Um, what? Oh, let's get to this question first, and then I'll ask the question. So the question is from Zero Journey: do you grow mostly food, or do you grow
Oh, good question.
flowers
You got to
as
grow
well?
flowers because you want to attract that pollinator garden. You want to have a pollinator garden. So I definitely grow flowers because that attracts all of the pollinators. So especially this year, I'm growing a whole bunch of flowers. Like last year, I had some flowers. Like I had some, I almost said poinsettias. Oh my goodness gracious, where did I get that from? Um, uh, as a matter of fact, some are growing right now as we speak because it's in the beginning of spring. So I got all these daisies. I'm growing chamomiles. I'm growing the what is this? Dang, what is the hummingbird's favorite flower? I forget what it is. Um,
I'm not sure. Someone in the room,
yeah,
if you know that answer, because I
I
don't
just
know. I
grow a
just
whole bunch
grow
of
a whole bunch
flowers,
of
but my
flowers.
favorite one is a sunflower. I actually just planted those 2 days ago, actually indoors. Um, and I got
Oh, cool.
them indoors because see what had happened was them birds and squirrels, they be digging them up. I don't even know. I don't like how do they find them? Like I just be like, I mean, like
That's what I be
like how do they
wondering.
find them? Like I be doing it at night too, so that way they don't even see me doing it. So I be doing it at night. Right next to I see a hole where I put the seed at, and I'm like, how do they find it? So yeah, but yeah, I have
I always wondered, like, how do they like aphids and all the bugs talking about pests again? How do they know
yeah.
that we're growing food
Like
out
who
there?
sent
That's the
you?
crazy because they just come
Like who
from
sent you?
everywhere. Yeah, like it's crazy. Like the
Yeah,
birds, they eat the seeds up, and the birds eat the cherries. Last year they didn't eat my cherries. I had so
yeah.
many cherries because we had the cicada and they were eating the cicadas, and I didn't see the birds all summer. I guess they was stuffed full and
No,
couldn't
they
move.
ate my cherries, but they left my blueberries alone. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you guys, good trade off. Y'all go ahead and have those cherries, and I'll sit over here and eat my blueberries. I'd rather have my blueberries than the cherries. So y'all going ahead and do it. So sometimes
That's
if
what's up.
you really struggling with pests, yeah, go ahead and plant the sacrificial garden, because sometimes that's, yeah, you guys get this over here.
Yeah, I have the birds somehow got my raspberries one year, and then they pooped them all out in the front yard, and um, and now I got raspberries everywhere in the front yard. So now they don't really bother the backyard as much because they have endless raspberries. And when I say raspberries, like
Mhm.
they are all over the place in the front yard.
I
I
mean, we laugh
let
at
them
this
just
stuff,
grow,
but
which is
it's
cool.
like we look,
Yeah,
yeah.
they did. They pooped them all out. They pooped the seeds right on out, and they grew. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And they all
Yeah.
over the place. I like how you worded the
Yeah,
sacrifice
that's pretty much
garden.
what it is.
That's
Here you go.
that's really
Here's your
creative there.
fennel. Here's your and then sometimes you want to try and attract those butterflies and stuff like that. Here's your dill. Here's your parsley. Here's your, yeah. Go over there. And then you know what?
That's what's up. And also,
Sunflowers
go
are a
ahead.
really good flower to have because everything likes it. So I've spotted praying mantises on that thing. Ladybugs, that's like my first favorite. We call it pest, but really it's a beneficial insect. You want to attract those
Yeah,
ladybugs. You want to
pest
attract,
control.
and then those ants, right? If you have sunflowers, they go straight to the sunflowers instead of wherever it is. Because if you see ants all over your, say, jalapenos, that's not a good thing. Um, but yeah, you want to have that sacrificial garden. Here you go. Go over there. Like, go over there.
Also, also zero journey. If you're still out there listening and watching, grow some flowers that you can eat because I
Yeah, are
eat
you
a
talking about like
lot of
chamomile and stuff?
flowers, and most people don't.
Mhm.
Yeah, lots of people don't eat the flowers, but I eat the flowers. I actually make a mean sunflower steak.
I,
It's
last year
unbelievable.
a friend of mine told me that the petals of the sunflowers you can make a tea out of that. I was like, I can see that.
Yeah, even dandelions. If you know it's about to be spring, you go pick you some dandelions. Make sure that that lawn or wherever you picking from does not have pesticide on it. But you can make some
Mhm.
dandelion tea. You can go and you can dry them or just make some tea with the fresh
Yeah.
dandelions. Really, really good. I just had some dandelion tea this morning from some
Hmm.
dandelions
It's
that
good
I
for the
picked.
digestive system.
Um,
Ask me how I know. I mean,
yeah. How you know? Go ahead,
I
break it
mean,
down
growing
to us.
up,
How
they
you
always
know?
told us that that stuff was poisonous, and come to find out, from the root all the way to even the little flower petals and stuff like that, it's all natural healing. So yeah, I had digestive issues that started off all of this little medical journey and stuff like that. And it turns out that a part of the dandelion, if you make it into a tea, is actually good for the digestive system. It actually helps you, like it just helps your. It's got that vitamin K and stuff, so it actually helps your stomach actually heal, so, or your whole entire digestive tract. And depending on the part of the dandelion, it can even help your intestine. This is your holistic nutritionist speaking.
Yes, talk about it. Talk about that, and then we get into some more questions. But talk about it. How did you? Why did you decide to go into that world?
Long story short, when I had my medical issues, the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. They kept saying it was in my mind. It was, I was tripping basically, and I'm just like, oh man, I know my body, man, something is wrong. Basically, my stomach stopped digesting properly. Yeah, ugh, I wouldn't wish it on my own worst enemy. And so throughout that journey, I had to figure out holistic ways, because they just kept, all they wanted to do was just prescribe me stuff. They even prescribed me antidepressants because they thought I was just depressed or something. I don't do pills. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me just go on ahead and just do an elimination diet. And so I basically healed my stomach through elimination diet, just did easy digestible stuff. So that way my stomach can take the time to heal, which is, it's really not easy to heal a stomach because something's always needing to go there, for you to live. And so after I started
Mm.
doing this journey, I started noticing that I was becoming the encyclopedia of how to heal stuff. And so, and I was watching Invisible Vegan, and I saw a lady speaking on there, and
Mm-hmm.
it said under her name, her title was certified holistic nutritionist. And I was like, what is that? And so I looked it up, and it basically says, holistic nutritionist. Basically, our platform is to heal using food and not medicine, so to speak. And so when I looked into it in depth, I was like, that's the one. That's my calling right there. So I basically researched reputable schools, not something where you're just like, hey, you can get your certificate in 4 months. No, I actually wanted to go to school, and here I am, a holistic nutritionist student. I got 4 more months left, and I cannot wait.
Oh, that's what's speaking of not taking pills. I make my own pills.
That's
This
what
is
I'm
a
talking about.
turmeric and black pepper
Hmm.
pill, and this me ageless. Everybody say, "How old are you?" And I always
Yes,
say,
I'm talking. That's my. I
"Vampire
got my
years."
turmeric and black pepper. You got black pepper in that, right? Uh,
Yes, it's combined together in a vegan
yep.
pill shell or whatever, and turmeric is out of my
Mhm.
garden as well. So yeah,
But
I'm gonna try to
how
learn
do
how to grow black
you?
pepper.
I'm trying to
It's
figure out
just
how do you
a
get
grow.
turmeric in the first place, because I really want to grow that, because I actually do have turmeric, but it's bought from Truvani. No. It's
That's
a
a grocery
company.
store or that's a
Yeah, I bought it a long time
oh
ago.
company.
Mhm.
So what you do is go to your grocery store,
And then
um,
and then put it
hopefully
in the ground.
organic, and,
Mhm.
yeah, buy you a couple pieces. You can
Oh,
chop it
that's
up,
right. You taught me that.
like maybe
Yeah.
if you get a bigger,
Yeah.
yeah, and you just stick it in the ground. Don't cover it too much. Just put maybe like 1 inch or 2 inches down in the dirt. Put it over there. It's gonna take a minute, but it will sprout. It's gonna probably take about 3 months for it to sprout. But by the time you do it now, by the time September come around, October come around, you'll have turmeric. And I use turmeric for
Oh
everything. I put
my
it on my
God.
face. I take it. I make drinks with it. I have my favorite drink is a turmeric Patron margarita with black pepper on the
I
rim,
love to make curry out of
so it
that
can
stuff.
activate when,
Mhm.
yeah, and make curry out of it. But yeah,
Mhm.
grow your own turmeric, people. It's so easy. It is so easy, and that came from my yard. I grew in a pot. Um, yeah, my cousin out there, Tasha in the garden,
That's what
says she
I'm
grows
talking
turmeric
about.
too.
So this is
So
the time of the year to grow it, right?
yes, start now, and then by September you should have
Mhm.
a good
Okay.
old part. Um, Here's another question for you. What's your go-to herbal supplement, and do you grow it in your garden?
I don't really use a supplement per se. I use alkaline tea. That's pretty much, and I actually get it from someone called the Alkaline Goddess. Simply because I haven't grown enough to make my own supplement. Um, but I will say my favorite of all time has got to be Thai. It's actually a tie between the cilantro and the Thai basil. That Thai basil. Mm,
I love some
it's
Thai basil. Pho, make some
Mm,
pho and put
it
it
just
in
gives it a little
there.
kick. I remember when I put it on in my daughter's food. She's like pescatarian pretty much. And so I put it on her shrimp and her salmon. And she was like, "Did you use some of that Thai basil?" I was like, "I sure did." She was like, "I absolutely." It just gives it a little kick. I don't know. I don't know what it is about that. It just, I don't know. So great.
That's what's up. Geo Gardner, one of my herbals that I grow is horseradish. and most people don't know you can use that as a supplement too,
Mhm.
for kidney infections or kidney stones, or people doing that respiratory tract infections. You can use the horseradish, cough, um, even achy joints, sometimes gallbladder disorders,
What about
different things like that.
what,
But I just looked out the other day, and my
what
horseradish
about
has
beets
come
and
back.
stuff?
So
I
yeah,
mean, I
I'm
would say my favorite is the turmeric with
oh
black
yeah.
pepper, actually. That's actually my favorite one, in terms of like a supplement. But I haven't taken that supplement in a while simply because I wasn't sure what makes my stomach react. But I think what makes my stomach react, was reacted at the time, it was the coating. You know that little coating that they have around. Yeah, I can't really digest too if it's too much and stuff. But the turmeric with black pepper, it doesn't have the coating, so I actually might be able to digest it properly. I should start trying it again.
Oh, that's what's up.
Mhm.
How do how do you decide what you're gonna grow? Is it based off what you and your daughter needs or your family needs? How do you decide what you're gonna
Um,
grow in your garden?
it's based upon how much I eat it, and sometimes I'll grow it just based off education. So, for an example, I grew cauliflower. I don't even know cauliflower because I like to try and stay away from the white foods and stuff. But people are going to ask questions, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and grow it just for the sake of education. But that's pretty much how I determine how what I grow. So, like this year, I'm growing Roma tomatoes because it's really delicious, and I love me some Roma tomatoes. And then I'm going to grow some beefsteak tomatoes simply because it's delicious and I like beefsteak tomatoes. But yeah, that's how I determine because I really go based on what I eat, and it turns out I eat a lot of stuff. And then I also grow based on my region. I live in the Pacific Northwest. Um, I've determined that I can't really grow corn because those little small black beetles, they get it every single time. And I'm just like, "Ah, fine, I'm just not going to grow." But yeah, that's how I determine what I grow is based on how much or what I eat.
Okay. What is the hardest plant you ever try to grow?
It
Was
was
it
a
the
corn.
corn or was it
Yeah,
something else?
that's the one. And it's mostly because it's not just about the black beetles. It's mostly because you need to grow a whole plethora of corn in order to be successful at it, based on how it's fertilized and how it sprouts out. And then when you do grow it, either the squirrels get it or the birds get it or the black beetles get it. And then, I'm just like, you know what? It's just way too difficult. If you don't grow 50, 11 of those things, then you are not, it doesn't work. You can't just grow like two or three stalks. I mean, you can, but,
That's what you can.
yeah.
I mean, I have done it. I've grown like
Hmm.
maybe five, and it produced like several on
Hmm.
it, which was cool. Um, I mean, we can grow corn here
Hmm.
in Maryland really well. It's a great thing here. Um, what is your favorite plant or vegetable that
Um,
you have grown
besides the
besides the
what?
cabbage?
Yeah, I know.
The
I was like, I've
cabbage.
already mentioned that one like three times. Um,
Is there any other
Let me
you
see,
like
because
to
I
grow?
grow a lot. I'm trying to do an elimination round here. I think my
That's
favorite,
what's up.
I'm trying to think of all of the stuff I grow. Which one is my absolute hands down favorite thing to grow? Um, Sorry, it's taken me a while. Yeah,
It's okay.
I,
We got time.
I want to say it's probably got to be the cherry tomatoes. It's a tie between the cherry tomatoes and the jalapenos. Um, Simply because they're just so easy to grow. And, believe it or not, I almost never get pests on those things. Yeah, I think one time I
Okay.
did get aphids on my jalapeno plant, but I figured out why they were all over the jalapeno plant. But other than that, they're just so easy. And they grow like one stalk. They just keep on growing. That's another thing I love about them is just that, okay, you've harvested a whole bunch of cherry tomatoes. You come back the next day, it's already sprouting out a new tomato plant. So I'm just like, yes, I like that. Those are because they just keep producing until they're, yeah, so
Continuously. Do you grow yours together? I kind of like I grow mine together. Like I call it the salsa garden, and I have like the tomatoes and the jalapenos, and then I have some lettuce growing
I
down at
actually
the bottom.
did. I actually did grow
You
it
ever
the
try?
first year. This year, or this last year, I did not grow them together. Um, this year, I'm keeping it separate again because I kind of have my little sections. So this is where my peppers are growing. I have a section where all of my tomatoes are growing. And that's kind of how I, did all that. I never thought to actually have my little pico de gallo section. I never thought to do that. Here's my cilantro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
I
I
did.
actually have the
Hmm.
jalapenos and the cilantro growing together. That's really crazy. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I do that, and I also throw some
I
tomatillos
have
in
yet to
there
grow
as well.
tomatillos.
Yeah, I had the purple ones last year, which were really, really sweet and juicy and nice. And but yeah, I kind of put them
Mhm.
all together sometimes. Just it's like companion planting, and plus try to keep
Yeah,
the
I
bugs
just get
away
to
as
do
much as
that.
possible. You
Put
know
my
what I'm saying?
onions in there too, so that way the smell will deter. Some of the.
Yeah, like I always tell people, you can come in my backyard and be butt naked in my backyard because of all the stuff I'm growing, and you won't get beat by. I wouldn't get beaten by mosquitoes because I have like the onions, the garlic,
Mhm.
the thyme, the rosemary, basil, and it's crazy how those bugs
It's
hate that
amazing.
scent, that
Yeah,
smell. So
I'm over
it's
here
all
growing
over.
some kale and broccoli over here. Um, weird story because I actually saw this question earlier in the live. Somebody said something about slugs. Um, I decided to grow beans and kale in the same area. The reason why I love to grow beans anywhere that has any type of leafy green because it releases that nitrogen in the ground. So I'm thinking, oh man, I'm just gonna grow some beans and some kale in the same area, right? Man, those slugs said
Hmm.
buffet. All you can eat buffet. But
Yes.
yeah, I have my broccoli and kale growing over here, and along with my celery. I'm surprised it really survived. When I looked and I'm like, a celery actually survived all of that. And so I'm actually growing my thyme, rosemary, and not marjoram. Thyme, rosemary, and there's a third one. But I'm growing all of that right over there, so that way it could just any type of smell, and it will sage. That's what it is. I was gonna say sage, rosemary, and thyme because I got this big, huge little, like 20-foot tub thingamajig, and I'm just gonna put all of my rosemary, thyme, and sage in that little bucket over there, and it's gonna be right next to the broccoli and kale, so that way it'll just release all of that smell. So
Yeah. Yeah, I can see how the bugs ate the beans because if you planted the beans with the kale, them bugs love some kale and some
no,
broccoli,
we need
some collard
better.
greens. They love it.
I look and I'm like, there's 10
I
slugs all
always
over
use
my
like you
damn
said.
bean. They done ate the seedling. And they always eat the seedling.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they ate my feelings up last summer. Oh my God, tore them up. It's just like you said earlier. It's crazy how they
How did
find this stuff, like the birds
you
find the
know
seeds in the
that?
ground, and how the
Like,
slugs find it.
this is actually usually
Crazy how
my
that happens.
thought. I'm like, you got the whole world in your hands and you want to eat that one? Like, you got
Hmm.
all of that stuff. Like, you even have the blackberries and you want to eat my bean seedling? Why? Why come? You could have ate that. You could have ate that. You could have, man. You got the whole. I live in the farmland. You got all of this stuff to eat, and you want to eat this one?
Fly over to your place and get all that food. Um, do you have a favorite trick or tip that you picked up along the way these last 2 years? is there any tricks or tips that you could give to people that you found was helpful to you?
The biggest tip, other than what we've already discussed, because we've discussed a lot of tips here. We've already discussed about the bugs. We've already
Yes.
discussed about companion planting. Um, I let's see. A big tip that I really want to give people is patience. I think when people get started with planting and gardening, they expect everything to just be a success. And if it's not a success, they're just like, oh, I failed at something. No, sometimes it just doesn't happen. You know, I planted a whole thing of tomatoes, right? Or bell peppers. None of them sprouted. So either my seeds are a dud or it just didn't happen. What did I do? I was like, after 3 weeks of waiting, I was like, okay, try again. Um, Sometimes they sprout, they look beautiful, and then whoop, it dies. You know, and that's just gonna happen. You know, it happens. It may not be anything you did wrong. It was meant to be. And that's the reason why you plant so many, because not all of them are going to survive. So that's pretty much the biggest tip I'm going to give to people is you're not going to 100% succeed. And you know what? My failures is actually what taught me how to garden better. So that's my biggest tip.
That's what's up. One of my tips that I want to give to people um is squash. I always like start them and then I transplant them, and they never produce once I
Mm-hmm.
transplant them into the ground. So that you need to direct sow some squash so they can just do their thing in the ground. But yeah. How often should we
Oh,
water
that
our
depends on the
garden?
plant. Some of them want to be watered every single, and it depends on the weather. Um, some, like for an example, tomatoes. And some, oh gosh, that is such a loaded question. It really does depend on the weather. It depends on the plant. Like for an example, basil, whatever it is, um, may need watering almost every single day versus a tomato. Um, it doesn't, believe it or not. It doesn't, you don't water it unless the soil is dry. Not bone dry, not desert dry or anything like that. When you put your finger in 1 inch and you don't feel no moisture and stuff like that, it's time to water those tomatoes. Um, but I'm out there watering every single day, pretty much, especially during the summertime, when it gets to be about 100 degrees. Um, and so I'm out there pretty much every single day. And I use rainwater because I have rain barrels. So hopefully they answer the
Okay,
question.
cool.
It
Is
really
that
does depend on the plant.
Yeah, I live in Maryland, so rain barrels are you get a refund on purchasing rain barrels. So if you're in Maryland, look up rain barrels and how to get money back from those rain barrels. Um, the black. So now I'll go into the black table question of the week. Once I get this iRig working right, there's gonna be like this little music pop up on it, and it's gonna say the black table question of the week. Because I do actually sit behind a black table. So the black table question of the week is: how do you balance school, work, and gardening at the same
That's a
time?
good
How do you
question.
balance that?
The way that everything works is school is online, so I could actually do that anytime during the day. It's not a specific time. The only time is when they have a virtual class. That's usually on a Tuesday at 6 p.m. my time. I'm on Pacific Standard. That's 6 p.m. and it's not every single week. It's probably every 2 to 3 weeks. So I do that. But how I do that is I always garden mostly in the morning. In the summertime, it's actually a little bit more because, well, for obvious reasons, you got to make sure you got to, once it comes to the height of summertime, which is around June, July and stuff like that, that's when everybody wants to lay its babies. So I am constantly checking to make sure nothing has happened between that morning and right before pretty much dusk. So So right now, I primarily garden in the morning because you want to get up, you want to water everything before the sun hits the yard. Just check everything, make sure everything is growing easy peasy lemon squeezy. And then that's when I work on business. I'm also in real estate, so I usually do that. Um, that's what I do after that. And then in terms of like school, for whatever reason, I do better at school at night. I don't know what it is. I don't want to do school during the day. I always end up doing it at like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. That's usually how I, do that. So that's how I balance those.
That's what's up. A question or a comment you kind of mentioned in your how you balance. You talked about real estate and doing real estate. When you're selling homes, I'm assuming you're selling homes. Do you ever convince people to start a garden when you're doing these real estate projects or tours or anything like that? Do you convince the people it's like you should start a garden. This is a nice home to start a
I'm not
garden.
going to front. I have not incorporated that. I have not married the two yet. Simply because the homes that I tend to sell don't really call for that. So I have not married the two yet. I will figure out a way to marry the two. So yeah, just start a community garden. So yeah. So like I was presented an opportunity to buy the block once. It turned out the person who was selling it was kind of fishy, but there was 4 homes on 5 lots. So there was a whole lot, right? And so me and the person that I was working with to do it, we was thinking about, because most people would take that plot or take that lot and build another house on it. I was like, no, why don't we start a community garden or something like that? So that I figured that would be a nice little touch. I was going to be like, hey, that's my opportunity to marry the two. It didn't work out, but yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. I think you should do it eventually. So I have a friend, his name is Sean Williams. He does real estate here in Maryland. And he had me on his LinkedIn show, and that's what I was talking about. How to convince new homeowners to start a garden, and it's been really beneficial. So now when he gets a client, he sends me that client. He was like, okay, they up for a garden consultation now, and so it works together. And I just did a garden consultation with him, and so it's really exciting that now he really wants to start growing his own food. And yeah, I think you
Mhm.
should do the two. My last and final question, because we're almost up to an hour. What are your future plans for gardening, and all this good stuff that you got going on? What are your future
So my future plans are, because I'm actually at 35 crops that I'm going to be growing this year. Um, my plan is to pretty much blog on my website about, gardening and nutrition. Um, as well as I'm actually going to be this year, hopefully, not hopefully, we're going to put it into existence. I'm going to be actually selling
Yes.
my herbs, especially the cilantro, basil, and stuff like that. Because I think I'm growing like 3 or 4 different basils this year. I lost count. Genovese, lemon, basil. Yeah, 4 different basils. I got 2 different oreganos. I'm going to be selling yeah, I'm going to be selling all this stuff. And then also, I actually 2 years ago invested in a nice little gadget here that actually grinds those into the what you see in the grocery stores. So I'm actually going to be doing that as well. So selling the little dried, grinded up herbs and stuff. So I figured, you know what? Let me go on ahead and do that. And then I figured out how to make Italian seasoning, and I was just missing the marjoram, so I bought the marjoram. So I was just like, okay, I'll grow that too. So that way I can have the Italian seasoning. So basically, what I want this year is to start selling what we have in the stores, because quite frankly, I don't know what they're putting in that those seasonings. I'm like, what are they putting in that stuff? Because
Mm-hmm.
why isn't it tasting the same as in the garden? So yeah,
Same.
that's pretty much my goal for this year. And once I start to, so far I have the Thai basil, the parsley, and the cilantro that have sprouted, and that probably be up. probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks, depending on the weather. So yeah, the Thai basil is growing really, really fast. So that's pretty much my goal. Oh, and oregano. I have oregano growing too. So that's my goal for this year, is to actually start coming from my garden into people's hands.
That's what's up. Have you ever thought about growing cinnamon basil? I grew cinnamon
I did
basil
not
last
until
year.
you
The
mentioned
best
it.
thing.
So now I'm probably gonna hunt for it. And I'm just like, man, I'm already growing like 50 lemon basils, but why not one more? Why not? You know,
And it's
what,
so
what do you put in?
good. I mean, Dur yeah, Derlin is here on the live, and she grew cinnamon basil too, but she convinced me to make cinnamon basil cream cheese.
Ooh, I was about to
You
say,
could
can
do a
you do a
vegan.
vegan?
Yeah, you could do a vegan, and it was like the best
Hmm.
thing
Why do
ever.
I feel
The
like that
best
would go
thing ever.
good in something like, I don't know, what, let me see. Because I'm actually going to start doing vegan desserts. Because as you know, I do the vegan meals and stuff. But I'm going to start doing stuff like lemon pound cake, chocolate chip cookies, and stuff like that. I think it's time I start going into the dessert portion of it. But that vegan cream
Hmm.
cheese, or the vegan cinnamon cream cheese, that sounds like the bee's knees. Hmm.
Yeah, it's really good. And so I think you should try that. Folks, if you haven't grow some cinnamon basil
Ooh,
this year and make
muffins. Sorry.
that cream cheese, it's all good. Okay, folks, you got one last chance to ask a question for Plant Lady before we get out of here. Put it in in the little question box if you have any more questions. If you don't, we're gonna get out of here. But I'm gonna give you like a minute. But what else? What else I suggest? Have you tried
No,
growing pineapples
I'm
yet?
not in the region to do so.
Okay. But basil, I'm gonna order some basil. Oh, drop the website. What is the website gonna be?
Oh, it's
When is it
already
gonna
up.
be
I
up?
launched it like 3 weeks ago. It's farmingnutritionist.com.
Say it one more time.
Farmingnutritionist.com.
I like that. I gotta go
Yeah.
check it out because I'm gonna order something. I'm gonna order whatever you got on there
Thank
in
you. Thank
support
you.
of you.
Yeah, on there,
That's
I've,
it.
already started taking on holistic nutritionist clients part time. Um, and I also
Mhm.
have my gardening nutrition blog. As well as I actually do not give away, but I also have my vegan recipes on there. Um, and let's see. And I also have my podcast radio show, the whole nine. I pretty much put all of that stuff on there. And then also a natural toothpaste. I actually put a section for that in there as well. So that is the kind of stuff that I put on my website. So
Cool. Folks, go check that website. I know I will. Well, oh, one of the things I think you should do is a vegan. If you do, I'm not sure if you do like honeydew or cantaloupe, but I make a mean cantaloupe vegan ice cream.
can you
You might
send it to me?
understand
Just
that.
going ahead and
So
put it in dry ice real quick, and just going ahead and send it to me,
yeah.
so that way I can, yeah.
And Urban Veggie Queen, she might get a kick out of it, out of this comment. But I also make edible glitter. So to sell, I'm about to start selling that too on my website. Once my website go up, it should be up next week. But edible glitter, and I'll put that on
I'm trying
the
to.
cantaloupe ice cream. Um,
Well, I mean, I can see
yeah,
that
I wish.
because how many kids will actually eat glue and glitter and stuff like that? I'm not saying I did, but
So it was just funny because yeah, I mean I ate glue. I ate glue. I definitely ate glue. Um, and
I
glue balls,
may or may
and
not have
then I
eaten it.
took glue stick too. I almost glue little ball things, and then would eat that. And then
Hmm.
when the glue sticks came out,
I
mm,
may or may not have
that was
done
some
that.
good eating.
I cannot confirm nor deny this allegation.
But this year I definitely want to have a class. I mean, a lot of my clientele that I do work with are women they like the little shiny and sparkly things. So I came up with that glitter thing to attract more clientele. And so I think I'm gonna do a class on
Yeah, just like
edible
the right
glitter.
next to the hot flaming carrots.
Oh, the hot flaming carrots! I just made the video for folks. I have not
Sorry,
put
I
it
just
up yet.
exposed you.
But hot flaming carrots, yeah, hot flaming carrots. That I'm gonna put that video out real soon. I got these hot flaming sunglasses in the video. It's gonna be a real cool video for fan base, Instagram,
Mhm.
TikTok, and all those places. Um, but yeah, look forward. I might sell those at a Black Farmers Market that I'll be helping start next month with some
Mhm.
folks out in VA. So hot flaming carrots, y'all. Let's get ready to get out of here. Thank you so much for joining me today, Plant Lady. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you on Fanbase soon. Tomorrow I'm back again tomorrow for
I
Black
saw
Garden
that.
Talk Women History Month with my co-host Gerald Lynn from New Soul Thursday. She's gonna be on tomorrow at the same time at 11 a.m. and we're gonna be talking as well about gardening. She's gonna break it all down. But Plant Lady, it's been real. It's been fun. And I always leave with, live your life healthy,
Mhm.
free from negativity. And as always, Black people, we gotta stay dope. All right. Peace.
Thank you.